Support comes from the Missouri Forest Products Association, saluting Earth Day on April 22nd with an ongoing commitment to help offset carbon emissions with sustainable harvesting of Missouri forests. Details at choosewood.com.
This is St. Louis on the Air from St. Louis Public Radio. I'm Elaine Cha.
And I was like, dude, let's just do this. Like, do you want to own a restaurant? Like, let's open a restaurant together. It was just immediate, the energy, like the smile from him.
I used to be the pickiest eater, and I thought that was so weird. And then I tried it one day, I was like, this is amazing.
It's freaking brilliant.
Yeah. And so then I took it and kind of like toyed with it and kind of added a mayo and just doing different things with it. And then that's how the breakfast sandwich kind of came into place. Mm-hmm. But yeah.
So, confession time. I know looking at screens right before bed is no good for sleep, but there are many nights I find myself on Instagram lighting up my side of the bed and my appetite too. That's because, confession number 2, most of my feed is terrible for rest because the algorithm gives me food. Confession 3, I kind of like the torture. So Instagram's how I got hip to St. Louis's new late night dining spot, Up Late. And since I need to become hip enough to get out there when it's open 8 p.m. to 4 a.m. Thursday through Sunday, I figured I'd get the story on how Up Late came to be. And here to unwrap that are the 2 folks behind this new joint. Nathan Wright, who is front of house manager for Strange Donuts and co-founder of Up Late. Welcome. And Jason Bockman, who is the owner of Strange Donuts and a partner on Up Late. Thanks for being here early-ish today.
Good morning. Yeah, all good. Thanks for having us.
So how did Up Late come to be? So the idea, where were the 2 of you when the idea for Up Late came up?
So when we were in the kitchen making donuts, and I've always wanted to own my own business, and I've been in the industry for several years, and even when I was working in the basketball industry, we would get home from out of town, like games, really late and early in the morning, and we were always trying to find something to eat. And then, especially during COVID, kind of all of that late night food kind of went away, and so we were in the kitchen, and Jason asked me, he's like, "You want to own something, right?" And I was like, yeah. And I had been bringing food in to work all the time when we would work in the kitchen. Mm-hmm. And he was like, why don't we just open a late night restaurant? Because you can't find anything late at night. And he's like, why don't we just do it ourselves? Mm-hmm. You know, there's nothing to eat, so let's just do it ourselves because we can.
Right. So Jason, how long before you brought this up with him had you been thinking about this?
I've been making breakfast sandwiches. That's I don't know, for a long time. I try to time myself. I make a breakfast sandwich and I have it all cleaned up before the breakfast sandwich is ready to be eaten. So I can do it in 2-3 minutes.
Okay.
Right. And I was like, man, these things are so good. And then Nate, he's just a good dude and I trust him. And you meet people immediately, you're like, oh, I want to do something with this guy. Uh-huh. And so a few years, but then we talked about some stuff back and forth, and Nate was like, I would always tell people, I'm like, man, I don't have enough room for Nate to grow. This dude has a lot of potential and just gets stuff done. And then, it was probably 6 months ago where I was we were in the kitchen, it was just he and I working, and I was like, dude, let's just do this. Do you want to own a restaurant? Let's open a restaurant together. And he was like, yeah. And it was just immediate, the energy, the smile from him. And then I was like, we need to do. So I know how to open businesses, right? Nate makes awesome food. And I was like, you just make awesome food and I'll show you how to do this. I was like, these are the 5 things that need to happen right now. And then the next day they were done. And when that happens, a lot of people like to talk about stuff.
Right,
you know
right.
I mean? But there's no action. And the next day when he came back with all these things done, I was like, oh, hell yeah, this is going to happen.
Right.
So it was probably 6 months from us talking about it. Uh-huh. To serving our first taco or so.
And were tacos what you were bringing in to share? Or?
No, I had always been bringing in, I would bring in the meat for the tacos, but I would never make the tacos. But I would bring in sandwiches. He would bring in sandwiches and he would put jelly and hot sauce on them. And at first I thought that was the weirdest thing. I was used to be the pickiest eater, and I thought that was so weird. And then I tried it one day. I was like, this is amazing.
It's freaking brilliant.
Yeah. And so then I took it and kind of like toyed with it and kind of added a mayo and just doing different things with it. And then that's how the breakfast sandwich kind of came into place. But yeah.
So you're working at Strange Donuts, but you're also in graduate school?
Yeah, so I was in grad school when I first started. So I was working with the basketball team for SLU, and then I left the basketball team, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do after that, and I still had a year left in grad school, and I had this, my final assignment, and so I ended up just talking to Jason at some event and asking for a job. And I came in and I got a job, and I just started working at the front of the house, and still had no idea really what I wanted to do. But I knew Jason, he was someone to learn from, and I could tell that he had great energy, and it was just great to be around. And it's not every day you go work at a business and you work side by side with the owner.
Right.
And so just learning from him every day, just how to run a business, how to adapt, how to just figure things out. And that's, just picking up those tools from him and just trying to piece those together. And I knew I could do something with him. I just didn't know in what capacity. And so just learning from him every day was just a great opportunity, and just waiting till we could figure out what we could do together.
And what was it specifically, Jason, that you saw in him? Because you've worked with a lot of people over the years.
Yeah.
What is Nate's special sauce?
Late sauce. So like I said, I mean, there's a lot of people that talk about stuff. I had hot dog stands, right? In the Loop and South Grand, Dogtown. I had them all over the place. And it would probably be 10, 15 times a night. Somebody would like be drunk and bark at me like, this was my idea. And I'm like, yeah, ideas aren't like, they're everywhere.
Right.
But like taking some action on stuff. But that's it. Like, so Nate started working, he just reminded me a lot of myself in so many ways. And personal, professional, like just his attitude. I mean, he can be like a little gruff, right? And I like it. But his willingness to learn. And I think something that most people need or can benefit from, but few people do, is move outside of their comfort zone. And maybe you don't know how to do something, but you're willing to screw it up, right? And I think that's Nate. And there was like a bunch of stuff that was screwed up, but that's it. I mean, just him being willing, right? Willingness is indispensable. Like if you're wanting to do something, that's it. Like, try.
Yeah. So you have the business acumen and the experience, and there's also a location. So you're operating out of World's Fair Donuts. Is there something about that location in particular that made you feel like this is where we need to?
Oh, for sure.
Okay. Tell me about that.
No, so we bought 3 years ago. I bought World's Fair Donuts, right? The people were kind of aging out, and they asked me, if I'd be willing to take it over and what I would change, and I'd say I wouldn't change anything. There's nothing that needs to be changed. This is like our local history. This is our fabric. This building, I don't want it to be turned into like a Boost Mobile, right? Like that's what it was gonna be.
Sure.
And I was like, I'd spit on the ground. I still think about what could have happened.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it upsets me. Anyways, I opened that. We took that over. And there's one section of the building that's World's Fair Donuts. And like some people think that we're like closing World's Fair Donuts. And a lot of people don't even know that like if you've eaten at World's Fair in the past like 3 years, like I made those donuts. Jason Bockman made those donuts. Okay.
Right.
We didn't change anything, right? The only thing we changed was the coffee. But I would be there, like I did most of the construction work in there myself. And with the help from other people, but I'd be there 3, 4 in the morning. I just don't sleep a lot. I'd be there 3, 4 in the morning, and every night I would like just stand and I'd be like, wow, I can't believe I own this building. But I'd be looking out at the intersection and there'd be like 12 cars at every rotation, right? And I'm like, it does not matter what time of the night it is, this intersection is bumping. And I'm like, I'll end up doing something here. 3 years ago, I thought about it. I was like, I could make breakfast sandwiches. There's like a separate part of the building that was used as a warehouse. And so I was like, I talked to a few people about having a concept there. and all these people, not to like disparage them, would not do the work, right? And then, so I think location is awesome. I think it's right by the highway, you know? So if you live in South City, you know, Hampton, Kings Highway, Vandeventer is basically how you get to most places. And so I was like, this would be an awesome location. I'm already familiar. I own the building, so I can like charge whatever rent or not that I want. And kind of we have our own destiny. So that's it. Yeah. I do think at some point I was always like, man, this location could be and needs to be a 24-hour spot. And so it just kind of fit.
Yeah. So doing something like this takes commitment, obviously, and that is there. It also has to be shown in the food. Like it's got to be good. And as I had said in the open, I was looking at the food that you were serving, and I want to eat it all. I mean, even the blackberry jam, I had a miscommunication with you through DM. I thought it was sending it to our producer, Maya Norfleet. I'm allergic to blackberries, but I will eat that sandwich with the jam and give me the hot sauce too, right? So how did you decide on the menu items that you currently have?
Go ahead. No, Nate initially was like, we're going to do sliders, we're going to do all this stuff. I'm like, dog, like, we need to be simple and do extremely well at these couple things, right? And like be fast, efficient, and have them be just extraordinary, you know? And that was it. I was like, let's keep it very simple to begin with, and then we can add. But it's hard to be good at a lot of different things. And I think people mess up doing that. Like, oh, we need to hit all these people. Like, no, we need to have like a golden bullet. You know what I mean? Like one thing that is awesome. Who doesn't like a breakfast sandwich and tacos and beer and donuts? Like, that's what we're going to do. But I live right by Wright's Tavern in Clayton. 2 weeks before they opened, they had people in there, like a full dining room, and they were just like rehearsing what they do. And I was like, Nate, that's what we need to do. So Nate, like 2 weeks before, like have friends up there, have people that aren't friends, just like DM people like, hey, come up and eat this food. Like just complete strangers. And like, so trying to get it right. And there was a lot of adjustments. Nate can talk about that, but like there was a lot of adjustments with the food right before we opened.
What did you have to adjust, Nate?
So the late sauce, we tweaked that, and because it was lacking flavor initially, and so I just scrapped what I had been putting in it and changed the ingredients on that. The way we were doing eggs, at first we were doing them over medium, and you know, cooking an over medium egg is just hard in itself,
right? And
it's messy, and so you think about people coming at 2 a.m., they're drunk already. I don't think they want to eat, you know, they're going to have jelly and hot sauce and egg all over their hands, or they're, you know, driving. And so we tweaked that, just the way we did, just wrapping everything in packaging. There was, just everything. Each night that I would have people over and eat, I would take notes and just figure out what we needed to change or what could be adjusted to make things easier on us, to get the food out quicker, and just a general consistent product and overall.
We're speaking with Nathan Wright, front of house manager for Strange Donuts and co-owner and operator of Up Late STL, and Jason Bockman, owner of Strange Donuts and also co-owner and operator of Up Late STL. So how much do these items cost? So there are carne asada tacos, and you make the sauce, the salsa, right, in-house. And then is it 2 breakfast sandwiches, just one?
Good.
2. So it's a sausage, egg, and cheese, and then there's a bacon, egg, and cheese. And the sausage, egg, and cheese is 10. I have someone that works with us. He grinds the meat himself, seasons it, and then I patty it. So that one's 10. And then the bacon, egg, and cheese is 9. And then the carne asada taco is $4.
So the prices are comparable then to what you might get at a food truck, and actually better.
Yeah, we're not trying to bust heads. Like, we're hoping like that there's volume, that we don't need to like, you know, rob people and like jack prices up. Because man, sometimes it does. I'm like, man, everything is so expensive right now. I do think we picked an interesting time. You know what I mean? To like open a restaurant that relies pretty heavily on eggs.
Yes, exactly.
If we rob your hen house, like, you know, don't blame us. We'll pay you back. But
Well, one of the things that had come up when we were discussing this segment is that, when people are inebriated, they are willing to pay a premium for even not very good food. So it sounds like what you are supplying is very well worth the price, especially if so much of it is being made in-house. Like what are the other options people have right now?
Move out of the city, right? Like I'll be up late, like 11. There's Press is good, right? They're open pretty late. I can't remember. Courtesy Diner. There's not a lot of options. I hope there are more.
So what has the response been? So you're cooking, Nate, and you are cooking as well, making those sandwiches at lightning speed.
For sure. No, I'll do it. I'll do anything. Yeah.
So how are people responding to the food, not just in person, but in your DMs?
Yeah, so everyone, or it seems like everyone the responses have been great. They really enjoy the late sauce and the jelly combination, and they enjoy the tacos. I've seen a couple people, that have lived in Texas, or they're like, man, these are the closest thing to real tacos that I've had since I lived in Texas. Or, we've had a couple people from Cuba come by, and they're like, they sat in the parking lot, ate tacos, and then they came back and they ordered more. And that's been a lot of, the people will order the food, sit out in their car and eat it, and then the ticket comes back in and they're ordering more food. And I think to me that's the most special thing that I've seen so far, is they eat the food and then they're like, man, this is really good, and they're ordering more. Like that just puts the biggest smile on my face.
So one of the things we talked about just before we started this segment was about food culture.
Yeah.
So I lived in Korea for 2.5 years.
Yeah.
And it was in Seoul. And there's food 24/7. And it's like legit restaurants. Like there are places that people go to for their hangover meals that are meant for very sober people, i.e. taxi drivers, right? They're taxi driver restaurants. So what do you think that you are adding to St. Louis's food culture with Up Late that maybe it has needed but not necessarily known it's needed?
So Nate's talked about that a little bit, and I don't think that broadly a lot of times, right? I'm just like, this is good, let's do this, it fills a need. But like the simple need is that it's late night. And I don't know how many places that I'm not going to say any names of restaurants, but like, oh, I'm drunk, I eat this food's awesome. And then you have like some kind of nostalgia about it, and you go back and you're sober and you're like, oh, this is not, this
there was
is
a different
not,
kind of sauce there.
this is not that good. But I don't know. I went to school, I lived in Hong Kong. And, they're like, it's like a British Chinese fusion, right? And so there's like tea time, and there's also like fourth dinner, it's like breakfast, lunch, dinner, late dinner. And so there would be restaurants like right outside of where I live. They'd like scoop the fish out of a fish tank, and like the food's fire, and it's like $4, right? Like a pile of fish and bok choy or whatever. And I was like, man, we can do that. I know if I'm up and I'm like, when we first started talking about this, like we made a video. Tom English, the studio, produced this video. It was so awesome. As soon as we dropped it, everybody was like, thank God, right? Like even grocery stores, you think about this, sometimes it pisses me off a little bit. I'm like, man, there's what in the metro area, what is there, 3.5 million people or something like that? And like there's no access, right? Like even to go get the food to make your own. And like, I feel like I work a lot. I know people that work in the restaurant industry, right? You wake up, you're going to bed late, you're waking up 10, 11, you have just enough time to like maybe pay a bill, and then you're off to work, and you're getting off at 10, 11 at night. And then what do you have, right? That's been I just got chills thinking about this. It's been so awesome being there, like handing people the food in the window where I go to their restaurants and they're serving me, right? And then I'm able to be there for them when they get off.
Yeah.
And it's felt so special just for that. Like, I don't know. That's been special to me.
Yeah.
So.
And for a place that it's known for food, St. Louis is known for food. This is certainly filling a very much needed void in stomachs as well as sort of in the food culture. What's been the best moment so far for you, Nate?
The best moment, honestly, probably just we have a 22-inch kitchen display screen, and most restaurants we use Toast. Most Toast restaurants have a 14-inch kitchen display screen, but ours is 22. And both Saturdays that we've been open, it's been full from 8 p.m. to 3 p.m. or till we sold out last Saturday. Yeah. Till it's been full the entire night. And so, that's a good thing. Like, just seeing that, it just never stops. And so that means, we're doing something right. We have people are interested, they're excited about this. And so having people in the city being excited that they can have something to eat late at night and something different has been really exciting to me. And like I spoke on earlier, just the people that have been ordering and they've came back and ordered more. And we already have regulars, and there's people that have came every night that we've been open and have bought food. And so it's been really, like I said earlier, it puts a smile on my face, and I just really enjoy that.
Can I answer that question too?
Yeah, of course.
Because I was thinking it's a little bit different for me. So that my favorite part of it is just seeing Nate smile, right? I swear to God, I've opened a bunch of different stuff, right? Like I have a furniture company. We did the hot dog stand, Strange Donuts, World's Fair, timber stuff. I've done all this stuff, and a lot of it is just mechanical to me at this point. You know what I mean? Like you do this, then you do this, then you do this, then you do this, then you do this, and then whatever, you get some processes down. It's very automated to me, and I've forgotten a lot of the fulfillment of that process, right? And seeing Nate, when the kitchen stuff got delivered, the stove and all that, the fridges and all that stuff, seeing him standing there, it's brought some of that back to me. Oh, this is fun, this is fulfilling, and this is spiritual. You know what I mean? There's something really cool about, the way you live your life and then the way that people respond to it. Mm-hmm. And I get to see that through Nate. And it's reminded me a lot of myself and why I started doing this stuff. So it's made all these things new to me. So
it's feeding your spirit as well. That's awesome. Mm-hmm. We're speaking with Jason Bockman, who is owner of Strange Donuts, and Nathan Wright, who does front of house managing for Strange Donuts. Together, they own and operate out of World's Fair Donuts from Thursday to Sunday, 8 p.m. to 4 a.m. You can check out what they're doing and what you can enjoy on their menu at UpLateSTL on Instagram. Thank you both for joining us today.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us.
This episode was produced by Maya Norfleet.
Our audio engineer is Aaron Dorr. Our production intern is Avery Rogers. This podcast was mixed and edited by Aaron. Our executive producer is Alex Hoyer.
St. Louis on the Air is a production of St. Louis Public Radio. Understanding starts here.
Our podcast proudly supports St. Louis artists by using music from Life Creative Group.
Do you find yourself regularly listening to episodes of St. Louis on the Air? Suggest us to a friend you think might enjoy our conversations, and leave us a review and rating on Apple Podcasts on the App Store. It's the simplest way to help people discover our show. Thank you.
St. Louis Public Radio is a member-supported service of the University of Missouri St. Louis.
Support comes from the Missouri Forest Products Association, saluting Earth Day on April 22nd with an ongoing commitment to help offset carbon emissions with sustainable harvesting of Missouri forests. Details at choosewood.com.